Radio. This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
New York, the glitz, the glamour, the exciting Mutt-tropolis, the sparkling kitty city that never sleeps. Step onto the sexy streets of animal attraction that is New York City. Welcome to Pets in the City, Life in the Urban Jungle. Join host Diane West as she explores the exciting lives, loves, and laments of the people and pets in the world's greatest city. Pets in the City, like the city itself, has something for everyone. Celebrity pet sightings, pet events, and news and reviews with the hottest movers, shakers, and tail waggers in New York. So get ready to get dressed to the canines and take a bite out of the Big Apple with your Pets in the City host, Diane West.
Hello, cyber cats, canines, and critters under all creation. This is Diane West coming at you once again from the greatest city in the world, New York City, of course, with Pets in the City on Pet Life Radio. How are you? This show, I'm getting a little bit spiritual, that we are on the eve of the weekend of the blessing of the animals. Traditionally, the first weekend in October, there's a many blessing of the animals ceremonies in honor of St. Francis Day. And in New York, this is a very, very popular holiday. Actually, in New York, the entire month of October is just crazy for animals. But the first weekend in October in particular kicks off with the blessing of the animals. So with that in mind, we will be talking with some spiritual and well as other leaders who might shed some light on this phenomenon, including me tackling a reverend who I ask the very, very difficult and hard question, do pets really do go to heaven? And put my eternal soul in peril in the process. So if I don't get hit by a lightning bolt, I will be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Whew, okay, that was close. And I am back, so I guess the topic isn't too displeasing to God anyway, so thank you for that and your prayers. Anyway, Diane West back with you, and again, our show is going to be mostly about the blessing of the animals, which again is in honor of St. Francis Day, traditionally the first weekend in October. And it's just really, I can't explain to you what fascinating thing it is to see here in New York. The biggest, most notable ceremony is at St. John the Divine, which is an absolutely gorgeous, huge cathedral that they are still building. They've been building for decades, medieval cloisters and the whole 9 yards on 110th Street in Harlem. And I mean, there's camels, there's reindeers, there's horses, there's goats, there's birds, there's you name it. And I'm going to try and be there this weekend because I just love going there. But prior to that, there was some earlier blessing of the animal ceremonies, and one of them was up at beautiful Hartsdale Pet Cemetery, which is up in Hartsdale, New York, not too far from New York. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump on the Metro North. And I spoke with Edward Martin, who is the self-described caretaker. Actually, he is the complete caretaker of the cemetery. It's an old historic cemetery for pets. And we will go through the fascinating history of how one Manhattan dog and its grieving owner actually started the Hartsdale Pet Cemetery. So let's go there and talk with Mr. Martin. And we are here on a gorgeous mid-September day here in Hartsdale, New York, surrounded by beautiful sunshine and peace, and a lot of people that are getting their pets lined up to be blessed by a reverend here in honor of St. Francis Day, which is actually coming up in early October. I have the privilege of standing here with Edward Martin, who is head of the Hartsdale Pet Cemetery and Crematory, which is the oldest pet cemetery in the United States, correct?
It's the oldest in the United States, and it's the oldest operating one in the world. It's the second one that started in the world. The first one was in England, still there, but hasn't buried a pet in quite a long time. So we're very proud of what we do here. So
you're still and definitely active cemetery
here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are still actively burying pets.
Now tell me a little bit about this interesting history here, both of Hartsdale, but of the cemetery in particular. Did it actually start out with a doctor in an apple orchard? Tell us a little bit about that.
From all the research that I've done, that is true. Dr. Samuel Johnson, who we did a little bit of research on, was a very, very prominent veterinarian. He was one of the founders of the ASPCA. He was instrumental in establishing many laws for the protection of animals. And this cemetery started through Dr. Johnson simply because he knew how people felt way back then, 112 years ago, when they lost a pet. They feel the same way as they feel now. That is, those of us who care about our pets. And a woman...
I think that's a really important point because, I guess maybe because of the media now, you see a lot more awareness of people burying their pets and memorializing their pets. But as you point out, I mean, for time immemorial, people have been mourning their pets when they pass.
Oh, absolutely. For centuries, of course, wealthy people and royalty had the room on their estates or in their kingdoms. And there are many, it's established that many of the rulers of Europe, Frederick the Great comes to mind immediately, had his own pet cemetery on his grounds. But when a woman in 1896 lost her beloved pet in Dr. Johnson's office in Manhattan, she was very, very distraught. Asked, well, what happens now, Dr. Johnson? And after a few sentences, he knew that she wanted the truth. And really what happened then, and up until a few years ago happened here, is that the pets' bodies were just simply disposed of in whatever way that veterinarians did that. And I'm not knocking the veterinarians. There was nothing else to do.
That's what you did back then.
Yeah. So she didn't. That, of course, made her feel worse. And she lived in an apartment house. She didn't want to bury illegally in Central Park, as many people had.
As a lot of people have done, yes.
And so he said, well, listen, you can, if you wish, take the New York Central Harlem Division from Grand Central up to Hartsdale. Mm-hmm. I have a piece of property there that I use as a little summer retreat. And it's about 4 or 5 acres. I have some apple orchards there, and I just go there to relax. And you can feel free to bring your pet's body up there and bury your pet there, simply. And that's what happened, and that's really why the official name is the Hartsdale Canine Cemetery. Some reporter named that because her pet was a dog. Mm-hmm. And of course, word got out, and Dr. Johnson, being the kind man that he was, just used to let people bury there. Mm-hmm. They took care of their own plots. They made the burials themselves. They put up whatever markers they wanted to do, and it was fine with him. However, after a few years, maybe 10 or 12 years, of course, many of these folks continued coming to put flowers on the grave and care for their pets' plots and so forth. And some of the people, the folks who became friendly with each other, noticed that some folks didn't come back and the graves were becoming unkempt. Now, maybe they had passed away, maybe they moved away, maybe they simply lost interest in the grave. But they knew that eventually the whole cemetery would just disappear as people died off and so forth. So 3 lawyers got together. They formed a committee of pet owners who had buried there, and they simply formed an organization that was meant to last, and as you can see, it did. And really, the rules that they established are basically the same rules and guidelines that we use today, and it's worked.
And this all started with one Manhattan dog coming up to Hartsdale Pet Cemetery.
Well, yes, and I might say one compassionate act from a very nice veterinarian, a caring veterinarian who was one a long time ago who knew that or felt that their job did not end when they couldn't take care of the pet anymore. They knew that there was more to this than just taking care of the pet and then losing interest or whatever when the pet died. That I like to say to anybody who works at the cemetery here is that our job at the cemetery and crematory is not simply opening a grave and mowing the lawn or cremating a pet or whatever. That our real job is making people feel a little bit better. That when they leave here, not that they're happy, but they know, at least for them, that they have done the right thing.
Now, it's just amazing also, just a testament that people from the city, Manhattan and obviously the surrounding boroughs, that you probably have a lot of city pets up here, and I must say it does bear a beautiful resemblance to Central Park.
Well, that's nice of you to say, and I believe that. As I tell folks, Hartsdale Pet Cemetery was beautiful long before Ed Martin came here, probably long before Ed Martin was born. So maybe somebody is watching that the folks who come in here and take care of the cemetery. This is not my cemetery. This is a cemetery that exists for the people who have buried here, and my job is to see to it that it's run in the tradition that Dr. Johnson and the people who followed him thought that it should be, and I'm happy to hear praise that. But once again, it's a special place, and it's a special place for me to come to every day. My pets are buried here.
And if I may say so, you said also some of your human relatives are here as well.
My mother and father are here at the cemetery. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are here. Of course, I have to follow the lawyer's proclamation that this is not a human cemetery. It's a pet cemetery. However, those folks who choose to be cremated or elect to be cremated can have their cremated remains buried here, not for any particular reason, but at least from what the lawyers tell us, that one can do whatever they want with human cremains. You could bury them in your own backyard, or you can put them in your closet or whatever. So,
no, but I can imagine that. I've definitely heard that from a lot of our readers and listeners, that it's really important for them, that they really want to be with their pets and they really want to see them, when we go to the other place. And I think that's really important that people know that this is an option, that if they do want to, when they're cremated, has to be cremated, be buried with their pets, they can do so here.
Yes, I think it's very nice. Again, coordinating with the lawyers so we all don't go to
in accordance with the law. In accordance with the law.
I sound like a little spiel after a commercial, but I must say that we don't hold plots available for sale for humans, even if they're cremated. This is really an accommodation for those folks who think as much of the cemetery to bury their pets here and do want to be with their pets. It's a very inexpensive thing, and it's not for everybody, but certainly in my particular case, I thought it was a good thing and a nice thing to do. And even though my folks had burial plots down at Woodlawn Cemetery where my grandparents are, I, along with my wife and my mother, when my dad was very sick and we knew his time was coming, my dad had done most of the monument work here at the cemetery, and we just felt this was right for him, and my mother went along with it, and I'm glad that she did, because now I can...
Your mother went along with it?
Yes. Well, they honestly, they weren't particularly partial towards cremation, but she knew that this was the only way to come here, and I'm glad she did. because now I can visit them as well as my pets every day.
and you honored their wishes, so that's great. Now, just to summarize here, you obviously have really, in a way, counseled a lot of people who've come here, with their pets and seen so many types of grief. I mean, what do you say to people out there? And there are people out there, a lot of them are not pet people, but some of them are, that say, come on, it's a dog, it's a cat, what are you doing here? I mean, what would you say to such people? What do you think about that?
I would say to anybody who doesn't believe in this, if you will, that certainly is their right to do. However, I ask people to please try and understand that some of us do not feel like that. And I've heard a lot of things. Mostly everything that I can tell you has been told to me either when I lost my own pets and was feeling terrible, or as folks have come in here and talked to me how they felt and how they reacted to certain things. And that's why in some way I believe that losing a pet, if you feel grief, and who can tell, who can control grief? You either feel it or you don't. So when you feel grief, most people want to somehow be consoled by people. And I can tell you what somebody told me when I lost my first pet as an adult when I was in my late 30s. And I had this pet that we adopted, a beautiful Cocker Spaniel, and naively I just thought this dog was never going to leave me, was going to live forever, even though after she went I could see that she was going. But I just didn't intellectually get it.
You don't intellectualize it. You're like, no, they're going to be here now.
I was protecting myself. So when she did go, of course, at that time I was a college professor as well as working at the cemetery, and somebody sat me down, I guess they could see, and I told them, and they said, well, here's a big problem that people who lose pets and grieving have. And they know that, or we all know that unless somebody is just ridiculously rude or insensitive, that if I look down in the dumps and a coworker of mine said, well, what's the matter, Ed? And I said, gee, I lost a good friend of mine or a relative, that the vast majority of cases I would immediately get sympathy. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You wouldn't get it was just your friend,
But many people are afraid that person is going to say, well, your dog died or your cat passed away. Come on, get on with your life and don't be silly. Or perhaps thinking this is a little lighter, that they're doing a good thing, saying, well, why don't you go down to the shelter and adopt a pet? Which probably is a good idea, not for everybody immediately, but on the other hand, what would we say if somebody said, oh, you lost a good friend, there's a great bar down the corner, and there's a lot of
go buy someone a drink.
A lot of guys there, and you'll strike up another friendship, or you don't replace. As we all pet owners know that we don't replace. And then somebody else said to me, intellectually, if you go to a human cemetery and you're there in front of a relative's plot, or maybe your mother and father or a good friend, and you're there, intellectually we probably think, there's really decaying chemicals here that's going on. But they go because what it does do, especially if there's been a little time period before death when it's been rough, what we tend to do is, as time goes by and we go to a graveside, for many, not everybody, that diminishes a little bit, the bad times, and all the good times come back, Exactly. And with a pet, we see our pet jumping and as a puppy and so forth, and it makes us feel good, maybe in a bittersweet way, but it makes us feel better. I shouldn't say good, but that is the role of a cemetery. So I say
to be a touchstone for those memories.
So I say to some of my intellectual friends, what is really the difference? We're doing the same thing. We felt grief. We want to remember our mom or dad or friend the way we want to. Not that we like going to a cemetery, but it helps us. And if you're grieving over a pet, I think the same thing happens. The only difference is that in a pet cemetery, at least this one, as I was told when I first came here, no one has to bury a pet. People who do this really are in grief, and for them, they want to do this. They could do this much less expensively. They could do it spending less time and attention to this, but they do this. So when they come, and and this is what I was told when I came here as a young man, these are special people. And I found that to be true. I mean, in any group of people and anything else I've done, you can find some pain in the necks, if you will, on the thing. And yeah, somebody may complain about their flowers aren't right, but they're good people. They've come here, and as far as we all have this common bond in that we're pet lovers, that we love pets, and we feel bad when they have left us. And I think we succeed. I think this is a little different than a human cemetery for that respect. It's a little livelier. We kind of remember the pets, even though they've been old. And this is not to say, at least in my own particular case, I don't think of my pets as my children. I think of them as companions, as part of my family. But because we have domesticated these animals, we're taking care of them. So in that way, they're childlike. And because they have such a short life relative to the average human life, they leave us. Even though they're ready to go, we're not ready to let them go.
But unfortunately, when that day comes and you do have to let them go, thankfully there's people like Mr. Martin and his beautiful cemetery that he tends, as he specifies, Hartsdale Pet Cemetery right here in Hartsdale, New York, which hop, skip, and a jump from Manhattan. A lot of city pets have their final resting place and probably romping around here today. Mr. Martin also to celebrate life. Today, matter of fact, there's a blessing of the animals and adoptions as well. So we really thank you, Mr. Martin, for taking the time with us today.
Okay, and if anybody does take the invitation, come up and call me Ed instead of Mr. Martin.
Call him Ed instead of Mr. Well, wait a second.
As long as we don't confuse him with the other.
Wait. Hold on a second. How many Eds are there? I got to tell the listeners there. How many Eds are there?
Well, there are only two. My dad had the same name, so he's here, but he doesn't answer the phone anymore. And I hope I wasn't disrespectful, but I know my father, and he would get a little.
If he does answer the phone, definitely let you know.
But the worst part of the whole thing is that, of course, because I have the same name as my dad, I'm Junior. So when I now answer the phone and they say, Ed, my answer is, well, you want the young or the old Ed? I'm the oldest Ed on the premise.
So simply call, ask for Ed, and someone will respond.
Someone will help you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Martin. I will call you Ed from now on, and just assume that somebody will pick up the phone. And next, moment you've all been waiting for, I put my eternal soul in danger by tackling a mild-mannered reverend and asking him, really telling him to force the question of, do pets go to heaven? Stay tuned.
All right, this is my stop, Commercial Boulevard. Yeah, that's funny. Pets in the City will be back in a New York minute. Don't go anywhere.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand, only from Pet Life Radio.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, all you yuppie puppies and city kitties, Pets in the City is back with more urban animals and cool cosmopolitan critters. Try saying that 3 times fast. Right, Diane?
Come on out, Rosie. We got red tails around here. Fair start. Hey, Rosie, up. Get in there now, Rosie. Okay, Rosie. Come on, Rosie. Come on out. Come on, Rosie. Rosie is a new bird to our program. In fact, this is the first year that Rosie has ever done the program. And here she comes, Rosie, our red-tailed hawk is have a red tail. In fact, when the red-tailed hawk first leaves the nest at about 38 days, you'll actually have a brown tail and a white. 2, 3, Rosie! Go home! Go home, Rosie! Go home! Look at that, Rosie! Look at all that food! Rosie, our red-tailed hawk! Good job, Rosie! He's just learning the ropes. Wheat! Come on, Horton! On great one now! This is Horton. Horton is a great horned owl. But you might notice that it's kind of hard to see the horns. The horns are actually tufts of feathers. But Horton's horns haven't developed yet. That's because Horton is an immature or baby great horned owl. He's just 5 months old. Okay, everyone all at once say, "Aww, isn't he cute?" Horton fell out of the nest, or jumped out of the nest early, or was pushed out by his brothers and sisters, like fighting over a mouse or something. And somebody found him outside the nest, and they decided to rescue him. So they brought him home. Oftentimes, he's our great horned owl. On the count of 3, let's tell him to go home, and I think he can do it on his own. 1, 2, 3, Horton! Go home! Let's Horton, our great horned owl!
Okay, I guess I'm not in that much trouble. Reverend was really a nice guy, as you can see, and I think he really answered the question succinctly, and I do think it's a question that anyone of any faith has thought about from time to time, especially those of us that have lost a dear animal companion. So, something to think about. And I'm going to wrap up on a more upbeat note. I had the honor of talking with David Sylvester and his wonder cycling dog, Chiva. Now, they are on this nationwide Tour de Dog, and they made their final stop in New York at the 110th Street intake shelter from Animal Care and Control just a few days ago. And there David rolled up with Chiva in her little own, I can't even explain it, it's like a little tow truck behind his bicycle. And it kind of looked like a tent. Kind of looked like a pup tent. Okay, that was really bad. I didn't mean that. No pun intended. But stay tuned. David's a really, really nice guy, and we'll tell you why he's riding his bicycle with his dog in tow and what he's doing. Hold on. This is Diane West here with Pets in the City on Pet Life Radio, and you are in for a treat today. This was actually a surprise from all the way from Seattle, Washington, via way of Delaware, via way of 38th Street, and finally to 110th Street and 2nd Avenue. We are here with David Sylvester and his wonder dog, Chiva, you had it better than me, cycling wonder dog?
Chiva the canine cyclist, star of the Tour de Dog.
And star of the Tour de Dog. And that's actually, you could find out more about their adventures on www.tourdedog.org. That's TOURDEDOG.org. Now, David has just finished how long did it take you to get from Seattle? Tell us each leg of the journey and how long it took.
Sure. Well, we've been on the road for 6 months. And 4,500 miles. We started in Seattle, worked our way down towards near Los Angeles, cut back up through Nevada, over to Salt Lake City and Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons, over Nebraska towards Chicago, and then from Chicago up into Canada and around to Toronto, and finally back through Niagara Falls to Delaware, and now we're up in New York City.
And then, at Delaware you slacked off and drove up here, right?
Yes, that's correct. My parents live in Delaware. That's where I grew up, and taking a break now and doing some regional things. I plan to go to Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., kind of like we are in New York City now. The next big bike trip's going to be Miami to San Diego starting New Year's Day.
Starring New Year's Day. Now, look, I have to tell our listeners here, it's kind of hard to describe the contraption here. This is a full 10-speed bike, correct?
Oh, it's a 27-speed bike.
Sorry, 27-speed
And I need every one of those.
And we have how many? 2 saddlebags on the front?
Yep, we have 4 panniers, and we have a custom-designed dog trailer called the Doggy Ride with the rack on top of it so I can carry even more cargo. And need everything. So
now, you said you pulled into a way station along your travels, and you, bicycle, and dog was approximately 400 pounds.
that's correct. I weigh about 200 pounds. Shiva's right around 50 pounds, so we're talking about another 150 pounds of gear.
And that now, okay. Now, I don't want to hear any slacking off from anyone. If you've been meaning to get a diet or an exercise program, I'm telling you, there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
No, I lost 20 pounds quickly doing this. Anybody's welcome to come with me. We encourage, the more the merrier, and it's great. I feel wonderful.
Now, if someone really did want to join you, how would they go about doing that?
Well, it's pretty much through the website, which is tordaydog.org. We have contact information there, and I love getting emails from people, and I'll write you back.
Do you check them on the road?
Yes, so I carry a laptop with me, and so I can put up pictures and stories as we travel.
Now tell us just a little bit about why you've decided to do this. So you got Chiba, the wonder cycling dog. I know I'm angling that. And what made you decide to, I guess, join your love of bicycling and then, taking a tour throughout the country with him?
Well, it all kind of started in Seattle. I was working as a vaccine scientist, applying for PhD programs, and I just wanted some kind of big adventure in my life. And as what would I like to do? What's my dream job? And I kind of came up with this dog transporting adventure cyclist. I wanted to have my dog with me wherever I went. I wanted to go have fun, just go everywhere with my dog. And so I just got this idea. But with it, you need more substance than just biking around with your dog. And if I can help with anything, that's what I want to do. And I keep learning more and more about these animal shelters. There are 4,000 to 6,000 across the country. Each one has its own unique story, and I want to help them.
How many did you stop at throughout the country, would you say?
We've done probably maybe 20 now. Wow. And just learning from each different experience.
Now, and you said you guys have also kind of made a lot of friends along the way as well.
We've met so many incredible people. A lot of people have invited us, into their homes, even cooked meals for us. We've stayed with a great grandma out in Oregon to spend a night on a semi-truck you name it. It's just been wonderful.
And I can tell you, even outside of the AC&C right here on 110th Street, David and Chiba were causing a commotion with some local construction workers here, too.
Yep, that's right. A lot of nice people in New York City.
So this is great. So now how can people help you out other than joining you on, you guys are going to start out on January 1st, right?
January 1st, yep, Miami to San Diego.
If I don't have that much energy, what can I do to help you?
Well, you can please frequent the website, but the main thing is get involved with your local animal shelter. They need volunteers. People need to, we need to understand what's going on, what are their goals, and try and help them. We need to give back to the animals that give us so much joy. And one way I raise money on my website, and 100% of funds people donate go towards the animal shelters. So each animal shelter Chiva and I visit, we personally deliver a check. And that's people's money that we've raised through the website.
So once again, we are delighted to be here with David Sylvester and his wonder dog Chiba and their 400 pounds of gear. Cycling innovation extravaganza. I think this will be probably the prototype of many more to come, I think, and we will hope to get some people to join you on January 1st.
That's right.
And I do have to ask you, a very nice-looking guy.
Thank you.
Are you single?
Yes, I am.
Ladies, I'm telling you, you have no excuse whatsoever.
Come have a blast. 2009. If you want to change the pace, I seriously recommend it. I will help you plan the trip. If this would be your first trip, I can help you get gear, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, so thank you, David, and thank you, Chiva.
Thank you for talking with us.
And that'll do it once again for this week's Pets in the City on Pet Life Radio. I want to thank our great producer for once again putting up with me popping my peas and other bad things that he says I do. But he really helps us put out a lot of great shows. And also check out my colleague shows as well on Pet Life Radio, which are all excellent shows. And don't forget to vote for us in the podcasting contest that's going on now. Log on to www.petliferadio.com and you'll find out a little bit more about it. And let's see, in terms of announcements, like I said, this weekend is going to be a huge weekend for animal blessings. Like I said, the blessing of the animals at St. John the Divine is going to be taking place on Sunday, October 5th. There's also going to be some other ones around the 5 boroughs. Do me a favor, log on to my website for the magazine, which is www.newyorktales.com. That's my magazine separate from the radio show. And click on the calendar for calendar of events, because there's really just way too many to list here. And October, once again, here in New York, is Dog and Cat and Bird Mardi Gras in terms of Halloween. There is a Halloween party, I think, going on pretty much every single weekend throughout October. And of course, remember, October is Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, so we'll be devoting some of our show segments to talking about adopting shelter dogs and some of the particular problems we face in New York with this challenge as well. So that is our show for this week. Thank you once again for tuning in. This is Diane West, your host of Pets in the City on Pet Life Radio, and I will talk to you next week.
New York, the glitz, the glamour, the exciting metropolis, the sparkling kitty city that never sleeps. Join us each week for Pets in the City with your host, Diane West. Celebrity pet sightings, hot events, and news and reviews with the hottest movers, shakers, and tail waggers in New York. So take a bite out of the Big Apple with Pets in the City every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.